love flogging and I love, torturing. To torture and be flogged and have sex all at the same time. Oh my God. Welcome to My Orgasmic Life Podcast, a show where we talk about sex, love, relationships, and kink. And of course, my favorite part, I share with you my very graphic, very juicy, and always entertaining orgasmic life. I'm Gaia Morrissette, your hostess, and your holistic sexual wellness specialist, your trauma healer, your BDSM expert, and of course, your pro-dominatrix. The show is inspired to inspire you to support your orgasmic living. Remember, always check the content warning before you listen, and make sure you're listening where no one else can hear it, because you never, ever know what I'm going to say, because I always come with an explicit graphic content warning. Now, strap in and enjoy the show. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited. Okay, before I get too excited, please remember you check the content warning. This is going to be graphic and it's going to be detailed. Make sure you're ready for this. So, I have to say thank you, audience, for being spectacular as always. I want to give a shout out to my US client, my US audience. I want to give a shout out to my Canadian audience. I want to give a shout out to, of course, my Belgium audience, who I just adore. Okay, so before we get into our nitty gritty, you ready? I'm going to remind you again, I come with a content warning, and especially today's episode. I'm going to talk about my first kinky threesome, male, female, which happened on May 24 weekend of 2022. So not very long ago. It was a good holiday Monday. Okay. So sorry for everybody who's watching. I've just picked up a flogger. I'm going to put it down because it's going to distract me while I'm talking. I'll pick it back up when I get into that stage of our conversation today. Okay. So we need some backstory some backstories for the characters that are involved. So of course there's me, your hostess, which probably know lots about, Gaia Morrissette. So I'm pansexual, kinky, ethically non-monogamous, and a variety of all sorts of, I'm a pro-dominatrix, many, many things. So there's my backstory. The other two characters are Master, aka Overlord, and Slut-Puppy, which you've probably heard lots of episodes about. Slut-Puppy, who is my girlfriend, okay, in my ethically non-monogamous lifestyle that I have. So Master is my overlord. So for everybody who's listening who haven't heard this before, what do you mean you have an overlord? I have an overlord. You should all be very grateful I have an overlord. This keeps me under control and in line. So I only do ethical, consensual world domination. This is one person in the world that I surrender and submit to, that helps to create balance and harmony for me. And there's many episodes where I talk about that. So if you want to know more about that and how that works, then please go listen to some of those episodes where I talk about me being submissive and surrendering and going to subspace and these beautiful things. So that's Master. And Slut-Puppy is my girlfriend, who she's a slut-puppy. Which I've done episodes about her and, human puppy play. And all sorts of wonderful things. And if you want more details then and actually see me play with her in action, I highly recommend my BDSM 101. Sorry, no, not BDSM 101. BDSM membership program, where I go in and you get to meet SlepPuppy in a bunch of different episodes and classes that I teach in that, as well as I lean into BDSM and we start talking about other things about the things I'm going to talk about today, you will want to learn more about them. Please join my BDSM membership program, which can be found at empressgaia.com. Okay. And if you're like, well, what is kink and what is BDSM? So BDSM and kink is, about power exchange. The kinky activity that you're about to hear about is going to be flogging. And you're like, well, I don't know much about it. If you want to learn more after this wonderful story that I'm going to tell you, please visit. You want to take probably the best course if you're new to BDSM would be BDSM 101, which can be found at GaiaMorrissette.com, online courses and education. Okay, let's get in. I've teased you long enough. So holiday Monday. SlepPuppy's coming over. I'm so excited. We get to play with SlepPuppy. And I'm very excited because we haven't played in a while because she's been grown-upping in her life. So I haven't got to see her in a while. And Master, it was supposed to be technically his day with me, but he was very kind and very loving and said SlepPuppy could have me for the day and could come over and play. Now, SlepPuppy and Master have never played together. SlepPuppy and Master SlepPuppy's never even been allowed to talk to Master. And, he's said, once to her, SlepPuppy, with a grunt, and that's it. All right. So there's been no interaction between them. So I'm going to give you the whole day lowdown. So leading up to the moment in which we end up having a threesome together. So the reason why there hasn't been, and just a backstory. So SlepPuppy's been in my world since my birthday in November. So she's been around for 8 months now, give or take. And often when she comes over to play, it's usually during the week, or it was when Master isn't here, or they've just been very separate. I kept them very separate from each other. And there's a bunch of reasons behind that. One, because of my own fears, my own insecurities, and my own jealousy, which I talk really honestly about. If you want to learn more about that and how I've moved through that and how we got to this place today, go visit episode 199. It's called Jealousy, the Ugly Truth. Okay. And it talks all about my jealousy issues and where they come from and how I've been working to move through them. So, okay. So I've kept them very separate, but I'm like, but I don't want them to be very separate. I want them. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm taking off stuff. It's getting warmer in here. I'm starting to take and zip things. I don't want it to be separate. I want SlepPuppy to be a part of my life with Master, and I want Master to be a part of my life with SlepPuppy. And so I really was like, okay. And not to mention, it's like so many of my whacking off fantasies are like about the three of us playing in different scenarios and different situations where me and Master get to co-dom SlepPuppy and torture her together. So much fun. And remember, everything I talk about is consensual. So I may not throw the word consensual beforehand, but know that all parties have had negotiated and conversations and are moving from a place of consent and ethics. Okay. So when I start to talk and get excited, I'm not going to use that language, but know that everybody is on the same page. Everybody is okay with it. Everybody's excited about it. And again, I remind you that at any time, if I start talking and it starts to trigger you a little bit, please take care of yourself and go learn more about BDSM so that you can come back and enjoy this episode. Okay. And I have lots of episodes about BDSM, so you can go learn what it is and what is consensual and all these things. And it's important. Okay. So if you're like, whoa, this is not okay. And please, please, please turn me off right now and then go back and do some more listening to some more episodes, and then come back to hear this, because this is going to be super hot and horny and sexy, because it's all above board. It's all consensual, and everybody who's participating is excited. Okay. All right. So where was I? Oh, okay. So Master and SlepPuppy really haven't interacted. So SlepPuppy shows up in the morning and she gets in the house and she's all excited and she's all wiggly. And she gets on the toilet, go to the bathroom because she has a 2-hour drive to come see me. And, as she's like, she's on the toilet, she's getting naked because that's what she does. And I'm like, okay, go say hello to Master and thank him for, giving you his day with me. She's like, oh, she's all excited. She's like, I get to talk to him directly. I'm like, yep. She's like, are you coming? And I'm like, nope, I'm lubing up. I got shit to do. Go ahead. And inside, I'm like, oh my God, my heart's racing, and my stuff around insecurities and my jealousy and all the things are starting to, run havoc inside me. And I'm like, nope, none of this is true. None of this is real. There's nothing to fear here. This is what you desire. So I do my self-talk and off she goes. She runs upstairs. She goes and talks to Master. And then she comes back downstairs and I said, how did it go? And she's so cute. She's like, I think I talked too much. You gave me a look. I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with that look. So we carried on, me and her, we're about to play. She does her thing. I go upstairs, check in with Master. I'm like, how'd she do? And he's like, oh, you guys leave me alone. I'm trying to eat my breakfast. There were some other crass words, swearing words there in his very gruff, briskly ways that he is. So I like to call him, he's like a prickly tree. And of course I laugh. And I'm like, all right. And off I went downstairs. And so the day proceeded as like me going, upstairs, servicing Master, giving him oral sex, downstairs, torturing SlepPuppy, and having hurt my way with her, and coming upstairs and servicing Master. And so my day was like back and forth, up and down, up and down. And it was a good time. I'm horny. People are screaming. Everybody's having sex. It's wonderful. So lunchtime happens and it's like time to like come upstairs. And so I bring SlepPuppy upstairs and I put a bone gag in her mouth so she doesn't talk too much. Master comes into the kitchen and we start having this wonderful exchange, and we're discussing what SlepPuppy's name is going to be, and if he, whether in negotiating whether or not he's like, do I really have to call her SlepPuppy? Because like that's a really long name. And it's a little too cute and adorable for his liking. And I'm like, well, you don't have to call her SlepPuppy, but she's my SlepPuppy. So should I call her SlepPuppy? What would you like to call her? And so he's like, bitch. And I was like, okay. I'm like, that's good. And of course, again, consent. Everybody was consent. I knew this was going to arouse SlepPuppy and turn her on. And there she is. She's just like wiggling away, super excited about it. We're talking about her, that she's not allowed to engage with us though, because she has a bone gig and she hasn't been given permission. And by the way, she's now in my kitchen with her head to the ground and her ass in the air in a sit stay waiting. So I show Master, I'm like, would you like to see her eat out of her dog dish? It's very entertaining. So, I give her blueberries and her strawberries and her dog dish, and she eats her things, and we both laugh at her. We find it very entertaining. And then we send her on her merry way. And then Master has his way with me, and it's very lovely. And he sends me on my way. So we go back downstairs and we're having a good time. And me and SlepPuppy, we're having fun. And then I tie SlepPuppy up. And so this is when I start to realize that I might be ready. I might be ready to have a sexual exchange with both of them. So I chain Slut Puppy up to my spanking bench, which is lovely. And I do a little bit of, genital torture, which she loves. And I have it in this beautiful new configuration that I'd never done before. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, yeah, I'm so proud. I'm going to do it. I totally want to show Master. And I remember thinking that, I wanted to share. I usually don't like to share. I'm not a usually very good sharer, in all honesty. A horrible sharer. Mine. So, but I was like, wow, I really want to kind of tell him and show him. I was like really proud. I was like, oh, look what I did. Yay me. And I wanted to show him. And then I asked myself, was I ready? Was I ready for him to come downstairs and see her all displayed out and restraint like that? And was I ready for that? And I was like, I don't think so. So I didn't. And I just continued have my merry way with Slut Puppy. And then I came upstairs and, served as Master. And then I went back downstairs and me and Slut Puppy played some more. And, as you can see, when Slut Puppy's over, there's lots of sex. Basically, from the time she leaves, the time she shows up to the time she leaves, pretty much chained somewhere and being used. Good time for Slut Puppy. So again, it's consensual. She loves it. It's all very good. Okay. So now I chain her up to the bed and I chain her up in a new configuration she'd never had before. So she can't touch herself because I know that she gets super excited hearing me upstairs having sex with Master and me screaming like a howler monkey. And then she's been given permission to please herself when she hears that. But I decide I'm going to torture her because I'm mean that way. So I tie her legs, chain her legs to the bed. I lock them so she can't move. And then I put her an arm binder so that she can't move her arms. And then I chain those above her head to the headboard so she can't touch herself. So she's like, basically, she's not going nowhere. And I chain her up and I'm like, all right, stay there. Don't go anywhere as I go upstairs. So I go upstairs and it's for safety purposes, it's really important that she can scream and I can hear her upstairs if there was a problem. And I made sure that she didn't have a ball gag in so she could scream. So safety. And if I were to have her chained up for any length of time downstairs and she was gagged, I would then have some video cameras down there so I could see what's going on. All right. So anyways, okay. So just to let you know that it's all about safety. I'm all about protocols and safety. So there I am having sex time with Master. And, and I got his penis in my mouth and I'm happy and content because, nothing makes me happier than a penis in my mouth. Or should I rephrase that? Nothing makes me happier than having my Master's penis in my mouth. That's a better way of putting it. Actually, we're kidding. I do really like penis in my mouth. It's not just Master's. And that's not an invitation. That is not an open invitation for penis owners. Okay. Select penises only that I choose. All right. Sometimes get away with get out of control here. So where am I? Oh yes. Master's penis is in my mouth. And I'm starting to get I'm already really horny. Who are we kidding? I'm super horny and I'm starting to have orgasms with this penis in my mouth. And he's like, patting my head. And I'm starting to think about how it would be really hot if we walked downstairs and, he flogged me while I, ate Slut Puppy out while she was chained up. That would be super hot. And I had been like fantasizing and whacking off and thinking about all sorts of scenarios. And never once did I think of that scenario. I thought a lots of times of how hot it would be to watch him flog her while, she serviced me orally. But it never occurred to me to be the one that got flogged and be servicing her. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting, but it's kind of hot. So, Master's kind of pulling my hair and scratching me, and I can really feel like the primalness in me, which usually doesn't happen when I'm in dom mode. Like because when SLUTPuppy's over, I'm her mistress. I own her ass. So I'm like super, super dom and not pet, not very submissive at all. But I was really craving this, craving this whole piece of being kind of taken by Master. And I think that's why it popped in my head about being flogged while it was happening. So I was like, all right. And so I asked myself, I'm like, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally, there's a little bit of butterflies in my stomach and there's a little bit of nervousness about it, but no, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. So needless to say, my clitoris and my vagina overrode any potential fear that I might have. So I say to Master, of course, not while his penis is, I take his penis out of my mouth. And I say to him, so I was wondering if you want to come flog me while I eat out SLUTPuppy while she's chained to the bed. It's like, oh, that sounds like fun. I said, great, let's go do it. It's like, okay. So I hop off our bed upstairs and come downstairs, and I'm walking downstairs, and SLUTPuppy's like, oh, this funny story, mistress. And I'm like, shut your pie hole. She's well behaved, so she shuts her mouth. I'm like, Master's gonna flog me while I eat you out. And she's like, she squeals. I'm like, are you okay with it? She's like, yes. Which I already knew she would be, because I've already talked to her about these scenarios. So I just hand Master my flogger. This is my favorite one. That it's actually my very first flogger. So everybody who's watching can see. Everybody who's listening, I'll describe it. So it's a red suede flogger. It's not very thick. It's very thin. It's nice handle, so I can, use it on other people, but I only use it for my lovers who I'm fluid bonded with, because you can't wash these. So it's for my body or for my fluid bonded lovers. And this is the very first flogger I ever bought years and years, like 15 years ago. And so Master's been beating me for the last 15 years with this, and it still holds up. So, and I bought it off of, I don't even know where I bought it. I was like online. I think it was on an ad on FetLife that I got it from, and I don't even know the vendor that I bought it from, but man, it's seriously held up. I'm very impressed. If I ever find this, I don't think I'll ever be able to find this vendor again, but good stuff. And I'm in talks with a great company called Six Whips right now. So stay tuned. They make some pretty awesome floggers. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. Okay. So I hand Master. Sorry, I got sidetracked fondling my flogger. All right. So SLUTPuppy squealed. She spread eagle. She's chained to the bed. And I just hand Master the flogger, and I just jump on the bed, and I just bury my face in her pussy. My ass up in the air. Remember, I said this was going to be really graphic, right? So I bury my face, and I'm like, I'm in there, and I'm like, I'm just in it. I just like letting go, surrendering, not thinking about anything. I'm just like going to be present in this moment and enjoy this experience. So Master starts to flog me. And as he's flogging me, at first I was like, that's so like soft. But I'm smart. Unlike some of my subs, I know not to say anything. He's warming me up, and eventually will get very intense. So don't speed that along. Don't speed that along. Make a good life choice, which I did. I kept my mouth full with pussy. So I just got all up in there. And so he starts to flog me. And of course he's warming me up and it's starting to get intense. And I start to come and I'm coming in to Slut Puppy's pussy, and Slut Puppy's, I gave her permission. She could come freely. Usually I control of her orgasms. She has to ask for permission, but I don't want to have to keep answering her. So, cause she's like totally needy and whiny in that moment. So like, I just gave her permission. Go ahead, come freely. So then as he starts to hit me harder, the sadist in me starts to come out. So the masochist is enjoying the intensity of the pain, but the sadist is like, oh, I can bite Slut Puppy. She likes it. And so he hits me. I bite her. He hits me harder. I bite her harder. I'm coming. She's coming. We're all coming. Everybody's coming. Well, except for poor Master. He's not coming. But me and Slut Puppy, we're having a good time. And he seems to be enjoying himself. Flogging his little pet, being me. And so this is like intense. The whole experience is intense. I don't even know how long it lasted, to be honest. It felt like it lasted like for half an hour, but it could have been like 15 minutes for all I know. It's like so lost in the experience of being a sadist and a masochist simultaneously at the same time. The intensity and the orgasms. And then of course, you know, Master starts to finger me while he's hitting me. And then I'm screaming and I'm coming and I'm biting and more biting. I'm biting hard and growling and coming and screaming, and Slut Puppy's screaming and coming and laughing, and everybody's having a good time. So I'm tapping out. So I tap out and I turn around and put Master's penis in my mouth and, you know, give him a quick little blowjob for a moment. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready for anything. At this point, I'm just so in the writhing. I'm just so in the epic writhing state that I'm in that I would be good with absolutely anything. But see, Master's really wise and amazing, because you know what he does? He's like, I'm done with you bitches. Like, carry on. And he walks away, because he knew that was like, that's what I asked for. That's what I wanted. That's what we did. And we're not going to push it any further. We're going to let that settle in, make sure that there's no backlash, to make sure that I don't freak out, to make sure everybody's okay. Like he didn't push it at all. He was like, walked out. And then I processed with Slut Puppy, checking in with her, because this is really important to understand. This is the first time anyone has ever seen Master dominate me. Ever. That's always been private between him and I. No one has ever it's never publicly be seen. I've never publicly played with him. You know, no one has ever seen that. So it was this deep emotional and vulnerable piece for me to share that with Slut Puppy, as well as I was worried, does that mean that she's not going to see me as her mistress because she just saw me, you know, as, you know, Master's pet? And so we talked about it, and she's like, no, that was hot. But so here's a cute little story about Slut Puppy. So I didn't tell her whether she could watch or not. She knew that no one had ever seen this. She wasn't sure if she was allowed to open her eyes. So she kind of kept sneaking a peek. She didn't want to, like, she's like, she knew that it was really private, and she didn't want to like invade in the privacy, because I didn't really give her like permission to. So she just kept taking little peeks. And then she closed her eyes. I didn't know this because I was busy. I was face buried in pussy. So then we processed, and there was a lot of feelings. Like, it was very intense. My body dropped. It was very shaky. My body dropped because it was a very tense experience, both I've never been a sadist and a masochist simultaneously, usually one or the other, not happening simultaneously. It was overall, the whole experience was incredibly intense. So my whole system kind of just dropped. And so I was pretty shaky and quite emotional. And I grounded and did the things I needed to do. And me and self-puppy had some cuddles and talks and had a shower and ate some food and did all the things, self-care things that need to happen. And then I came and checked in with Master and see how he was doing. And he's like, I'm fine. He's like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. I'm like a little shaky, but that was an intensely serious, but I'm good. And all the things are good and stuff. And so then I went back downstairs and continued to torture self-puppy, and we had a lovely time. And then I'm in the middle of teaching her, because a lot of time I'm training and teaching. She's a puppy. She's always needs to be teaching and training. So I'm in the middle of teaching her. And so I got my fingers in her pussy, and we're doing orgasm as reward and denial. If she gets it right, she gets to have an orgasm. If she gets the answer wrong, she doesn't get an orgasm, and I get an orgasm. So we're doing this really fun training game. And Master walks in, and my ass is up in the air. Puppy's spread eagle on the bed, and I got my fingers up in her cooch, and I'm like, oh, hello. And he's like, hello. And I'm like, is there something that we could help you with? He's like, yeah, I'm just doing some cooking. Wondering if you need me to cook you anything. And I'm like, no, we're good. And I'm like, sure you don't want anything else? He's like, well, while I'm here. And so he just starts fingering me while my ass is up in the air. And I'm like, all right, lesson pause, carry on, self-puppy, come as you will. And back we go. So now, I'm biting her, and he's fingering me, and I'm coming, and I'm ejaculating, and she's coming, and then biting her. And then he decides he's going to start biting me. And so I don't realize this isn't what's happening, but I think that he's like, every time I bite her, he bites me. And I'm like, the harder I bite her, the harder it seems he's biting me. So I'm like, that means that whatever I do to her, he's going to do to me. And so this is how my brain's working. And I'm like, and then I'm ready to have this intense orgasm. And all I want to do is bite her in her throat really, really hard, growl. But I'm like, but then he's going to bite my ass really, really hard and growl. And I don't know if I want that kind of pain. I'm not the same kind of masochist that self-puppy is. I'm like, is it worth it? Fuck it, it's worth it. And I go in, and then he bites me, and then I bite her, and then we all come, and everything's good. And then he just pulls his fingers out of me, and he's like, all right, bitches, I'm done with you. And he's like, I got cooking to do. And he walks out. And without even skipping a beat, I say to self-puppy, okay, where were we in our lesson? We got to start back into our training. And it was hot, super hot. So I'm excited for the next installment of Kinky Threesomes. I'm like, who knew? Who knew? I'm sure all the kinksters out there knew, but who didn't have any idea. I'm like, I love flogging. And I love, torturing. To torture and be flogged and have sex all at the same time. Oh my God. Being flogged with pussy in your face, so much better. So much better. I mean, flogging's good, but with pussy, so much better. So, there you go. There you have it. There is my first kinky threesome. And there will be plenty of more of them, different combinations. And so if you're like, well, has there been any jealousy? Okay, so let's talk. So that was hot, super sexy. And what I was worried about hasn't happened. So there's been no backlash from me. I feel very comfortable about it. Things are good with my relationships, both of them. I haven't had any time to spend with self-puppy since then, sexually, because she's been doing some adulting and grown-upping in her world that she needed to get under control. So she's been busy. But as soon as she's no longer busy and I can chain her little ass up into my basement again, I got plans. Kinky plans, as always, that also include Master. So stay tuned to those episodes. Now, the reason, and this is really important, so super important, and please go listen if you struggle with jealousy or insecurity or fear that you're going to be jealous. Please go listen to my episode 199, because I talk about getting to the source of our jealousy and healing the root of our jealousy and our possessiveness and our insecurities, and really like diving into those places. Because if I hadn't healed those places and I've been spending months and months healing this before before this event happened, shit would have gone sideways. I can tell you, guarantee shit would have gone sideways. I probably would have been distraught and distressed and probably ended up in the bathroom vomiting and angry and upset and like me, looking for a reason to be jealous and to feel insecure and the whole cray-cray that happens when we feel jealous, when we have jealousy, and when we have those two. So we need to heal those real root of those issues. And it's not the other people, it's us. And so we got to heal those places. So if I hadn't have healed those places, this story wouldn't have this happy ending. It might have had a happy ending. It would have had a happy middle while it was happening. But the aftermath, knowing the past and my past experiences, the aftermath would have been a shit show, epic proportions. And so the reason it hasn't been is because I did the work. And if you're like, well, how do I do the work? 1, go listen to that episode 199. 2, reach out to me at GaiaMorrissette.com and I can help you navigate that world. And 3, if you want to learn about the kinky side of things, 2 places you really want those resources before you, like so there's a bunch of moving pieces. 1, we have ethical non-monogamy at play. So learning about that, navigating that. I have a bunch of wonderful courses around becoming ethically non-monogamous and navigating that within your partnership and communicating. 2, we got kink at play here. So please make sure you've gone and checked out my BDSM 101 course so that you have all the skills to be able to flog somebody or be flogged or use your safe words or all the things that need to happen so that the, bondage that was involved, all the things that I talked about, so that you know how to do it safely and everybody's involved safely. So you want the education pieces, right? And 3rd, it's really important to clear any of your past relationship shit, whether it's with that person or the people involved, or with past relationships that you are carrying any wounds about, around insecurities, jealousy, not being chosen, wherever that lives for you, not being sexy enough, beautiful enough, what if they like their penis more than mine, whatever. You got to clear that before you go to play. Don't just play. That's why it's really important to make sure that the first time you're doing, group play within a relationship or with people, that you make sure that you're sober. Don't, make sure you're not high or intoxicated at anything so that you can be of your right mind. Because there's 2 different brains we got. We got our arousal brain, our horny brain that says, oh yeah, everything's fine. I'll do anything. Sure, you can park that golf cart in my cunt. You don't care about the consequences. Just fill it. Put it in. Then there's our brain when we are not in our horny brain, which says, oh, maybe we should talk about that. This is how I feel about this. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. What are the consequences of that? So it's important to, 1, have conversations beforehand, which I did with both parties extensively. 2,
make sure you clear whatever you know internally that you might have a problem with, and make sure it's not, and you don't do it from a place of just, you don't make your decision spontaneously from a place of horniness, because without those precursors of healing your shit, already having conversations beforehand, making sure you're sober the first time you play, that will avoid a lot of complications, a lot of drama, a lot of heartache, and a lot of people crying, throwing shit, breaking up, anger. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed today's episode on Gaia's first kinky threesome. Girl, girl, boy. Female, female, male, or vagina, vagina, penis. Whichever works best for you. All right. And until next time, is there an extended version for today's episode? No, I don't think I want to do an extended version. No extended version. However, I think I shared it all. I gave it all away. I forgot to save some back. That happens sometimes. TMI. So that doesn't mean, though, that you can't join Patreon, because there's many episodes that have extended versions that you can have access to, plus all sorts of beautiful bonus content that's in Patreon. And for as little as $5 a month, you can have access to all this incredible extra bonus content. All right. Have a juicy day. Until next episode, stay kinky, stay horny, and stay open. Mwah. Bye-bye. Well, I hope today's episode inspired you, encouraged you, and of course, made you feel tingly inside. I just want to take a moment to tell you how much I appreciate the time that you spend, and how I really deeply appreciate you listening. I do it for you guys, the audience, and I love and adore you guys. So, quick loving reminder, I am not available for naked pictures, getting married, having sex, or having anybody's babies. And when you want to spend more time with me in a professional capacity as your coach, your teacher, your educator, your facilitator, you can reach me at GaiaMorrissette.com. That's the gateway to all things Gaia. Now, if you're like, oh, I really wonder what's in the extended version. Well, find out at Patreon. Come join my Patreon for not only the extended version of this episode, but also bonus content, behind the scenes, all sorts of juicy, juicy stuff. I also lovingly invite you to follow me on Instagram, which the handle is My Orgasmic Life Podcast, where you can leave feedback and comments. Also come join me on Facebook at My Orgasmic Life Podcast Facebook group. And I really want to hear from you. I want to know how this show affected you. What did you learn? Was it inspirational? Did you agree? Do you disagree? I want to know, because I'm a little bit of a voyeur. So I want to know how am I affecting you? So please come leave some comments. Now, if you're like, but I don't want everybody to know what I'm thinking, which is okay. Sometimes we need privacy and we need to be anonymous. So you would like that option? We have that. You can email my slutty assistant, Layla, at GaiaMorrissette.com. Okay, listeners, until next time, may your life be filled with sexy exploration and orgasmic pleasure. Mwah. Bye-bye.